We were conducting a press conference to update everyone on the enforcement actions that are ongoing to bring peace to the city of Los Angeles. And this man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped, did not identify himself, and was removed from the room. If he had requested a meeting, I would have loved to have sat down and had a conversation with him. That coming into a press conference like this is political theater. It's wrong, and it does a disservice to this country and the people who live here. So we sat down, had a conversation. We probably disagree on 90% of the topics, but we agreed to exchange phone numbers. We'll continue to talk and share information, and I think that's the way it should be in this country.
Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your I also want to hands off. How many of our ICE agents have been docked?
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, it's right behind my back.
All right. Cool. One hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
It's the anatomy of a lie. We don't often get to see it. The lie told on Fox News, the smiling anchor nodding along, who had access to the video that disproves the lie being told by the government official. The same government official who thinks this is what habeas corpus is.
The Secretary, Noam, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to.
Let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President Lincoln used it.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply arrest people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely for no reason. Habeas corpus is the foundational right that separates free societies like America from police states like North Korea.
Felt like an important tape to rewind like on a day like today, Jacob Soboroff.
What comes to my mind, Nicole, is what Tom Homan told me on Saturday night when I met him at the beginning of these raids in that loading dock down in Long Beach, that he was not ruling out the idea of arresting the sitting governor of California, duly elected Gavin Newsom, nor the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, if they interfered with ICE operations. And he said at that point they had not. And obviously, these are not ICE agents. These were most likely members of the security detail of Secretary Kristi Noem, which were in all likelihood, as you see some members of the National Guard come out of the federal building here, of the Secret Service. But this is the environment that we are now in, where the arrest of a sitting member of the United States Senate, the senior senator from the state of California, is, I hate to say it, not surprising or not out of the realm of conversation that we have been having over the course of the last several days. And as you watch National Guard troops walk in and out of the federal building here, where people come to literally renew their passports. I just ran into somebody who I know who was here to renew their passports because this is a neighborhood that I grew up in and around. This is a building of sort of quotidian activities on a normal day. And instead, it has become the site of a U.S. senator placed into handcuffs by the security detail of the Secretary of Homeland Security when he said he wanted to ask questions and hadn't been able to about the ongoing immigration enforcement, widespread, wide-scale mass deportation effort on the streets of Los Angeles, at the Home Depots that I've reported from for you, at the farm I reported from for you yesterday, places that we have not seen in previous administrations, Nicole.
Jacob, the officers who move Senator Padilla out of the press conference room and push his body down to lay flat, face down on the ground, are wearing jackets that say FBI on them. Have we confirmed that they're FBI agents?
We don't have confirmation of that yet, but this building, is home to many different federal law enforcement agencies, and so we'll certainly effort that. Nicole, I don't want to give you an answer that I'm not 100% certain of.
Sarah, let me ask you to pick up on the point you were making before the break. about Kristi Noem. She rose, like a firework, if you will, in VP stakes, and then seemed to sabotage her own chances when she wrote in her own words, her own telling of her experience murdering her own dog by shooting her own description of Frisky Puppy in the face. This is someone for whom sadistic conduct toward animals, at least, was part of her brand. How do you think she's writing this out in terms of the manner in which she went on Fox News, seeming confident that no one would check her facts?
Yeah, well, what's interesting is her accusing somebody else of performative theater, because nobody has done more cosplaying. She's constantly dressing herself up like federal agents. She's constantly putting detainees behind her for photo ops, which is some of the grossest behavior I've ever seen out of a public official. But Nicole, I also want to pick up on something that you're talking about, which is the lies that Republicans are telling. So one thing that has been interesting, you saw a lot of people, in the tech community and conservatives talk about how you needed Trump to be a free speech president. He was going to be a free speech president. We have to have free speech in this country. Well, a sitting senator should be able to ask a question of the head of Department of Homeland Security. And in fact, I find it odd that Kristi Noem wouldn't recognize Senator Alex Padilla. I mean, he is the ranking member, I believe, on one of the immigration committees. So the idea that she absolutely doesn't know who he is absurd. But, you've got Donald Trump saying if people show up to protest his tanks in the streets, that they're going to be met with incredible force. Well, he's not talking about violence. He's not talking about riots. He's talking about people who show up to protest the tanks in the streets, that they will be met with force. I mean, this is what this administration is doing. This is not singular. This is not one-off. This is about how this entire administration is approaching people who dissent. And so nobody better come here and try to tell me this is a free speech president or a free speech administration. Her reasoning for the treatment of Senator Alex Padilla is that he was disrespectful. Being disrespectful is not a reason to handcuff somebody on the ground. It's just not even a U.S. senator, right? It's not. And I got to say, my last thing is Republican senators should be very careful on this right now. If they do not come out and defend Senator Padilla's right to ask questions of this administration, of his colleagues, they are setting an extraordinarily dangerous precedent for how senators are going to be treated in this country. They should protect their own institution. They should have an interest in their office being protected from this kind of behavior, because they're all going to want to ask questions at some point, accountability questions of their leadership. And that is right, and it's American.